Hello. I went into my kitchen cupboard this morning and I'm a bit claustrophobic, so I got straight back out again. And whilst in there, I noticed that can of beans, apparently very good for your heart, particularly the more you eat, apparently. One of your 5 a day. That's actually Heinz beans. There are other brands available, and that can of beans prompted me to do this little video, and the video is all about how a slight change of mindset within an SME owner could make a whole world of difference. Just a slight change in mindset, and there's 3 distinctions which I will conclude with at the end. I don't want to make any sweeping generalisations about SMEs, because they're all different and everybody's different, all businesses are different, and people are more enlightened than others, and people have different approaches. And I wouldn't say that it's prevalent, but there is actually a particular mindset within a certain percentage of SMEs when it comes to engaging the services of a creative service such as a designer or whatever in terms of marketing their business. And an example would be this. I'll give you an example. We'll call it. It could be a man or a woman, but we'll make this a man, and it's Mr. SME is engaging a designer or creative to do a particular project. It could be anything. It could be designing a website, or branding, or business stationery, or packaging, or anything like that. It could be, but they are using a creative to do some visual marketing material. And the conversation might go something a bit like this. The designer will go, okay, what are we doing then? And Mr. SME will go, well, I want it in green because it's my favourite colour and I love green and I want it in green. So the designer goes, okay, let's do that in green. And Mr. SME might say, my other half really loves squirrels, so you must have a picture of a squirrel on. Whatever you do, I want a squirrel. And the designer will go, okay. And Mr. SME might then go, and can it wear a cravat? I want the squirrel wearing a cravat. The designer will go, well, why is that then? And Mr. SME might go, well, I just thought of it, it's an idea. I had the idea just then, a second ago. I want a squirrel wearing a cravat. And I'm an ideas kind of guy, and I want to have it on because it's my idea and I want a squirrel with a cravat. Okay. And designer might go, well, why? Why do you want all these things? What's the purpose of it? And Mr. SME might go, well, that's what I like and that's what I want, and I've got to like it because I'm paying for it, so if I'm paying for it, I've got to like it, and that's what I want, and that's it. So if we take that situation and put it on one side, we'll go to a different environment. We'll go to a corporate environment, and this is Mrs. Corporate, and she could be a marketeer or a buyer or involved in some kind of high position sort of marketing role within a big corporate company. This could be some kind of manufacturer or a telecoms company, or some foods, like Kellogg's or something like that, or it could be a supermarket retailer like Asda or something like that. But you know, top position, and they are hiring or briefing, a creative service. Now, unlike that particular section of SME with that particular mindset, not all of them are like that, but just that particular type, she's very smart, very switched on, and she knows that she has to let her own filters and her own tastes take a little bit of a backseat because the main focus is on what her customer base is going to engage with, what's going to resonate with them, what's going to speak their language visually and have the mood and tone and be right for her customers and not her. Because say she was doing a tin of beans, that has one mission, one purpose in life, that tin of beans. You might wonder what that is, because surely it's got lots of functions, but that really has just one function in life, and that is to fly off the shelf into the hands of the customer base, the target market, fly off the shelf into their hands and into their shopping trolley or shopping basket. And she knows that, and she understands that, and she knows that it has to, whatever the colours, it doesn't have to be a product, it could be anything, whatever the colours, the style, the fonts, the mood, the photography, the imagery, whatever it is, it has to resonate with her target market. And that target market might not be her. She might not touch baked beans with a barge pole. She might hate them. She might go home, drive home in a pink Lamborghini and sit down to a big plate of caviar and chips every night, washed down with 7 tequila slammers, and she might never like beans or go anywhere near it. It's just not her thing and not her market. So the fact that it doesn't need to appeal to her, that's the thing. It's what's her market. Secondly, she's got a massive budget and she's responsible for it, but she knows that she's not paying for that design work. It's the customer who's paying for it, because everything that's gone into taking this product to market, all the design, all the advertising, all the production, everything, the whole branding, the marketing, it's kind of like with every single, in principle it's factored into every tin, every purchase, because if it isn't, somebody's got to pay for it, so it's the consumer who's paying for it. So she's smart, she knows that it has to resonate with the customer and their target market for that product or that service. It could be any kind of service, it doesn't have to be, I'm just using this as a metaphor, but she's smart enough that she understands that has to resonate with their market and that they will ultimately be standing the cost, because somebody's got to pay for it. It has to come in through the success of that product, that business, that service. So it's all about whether they like it, the customer likes it, because the customer will ultimately, in principle, I mean maybe not on a spreadsheet, but in principle they will be paying for it in terms of the revenue that the business brings in. So let's go back to Mr. SME and let's go back to 3 basic distinctions. Distinction number 1, so this is in summary, distinction number 1 is that you have to focus on what the customer wants in terms of what resonates. So the design has to speak their language, has to be their mode of visual communication, has to be the kind of mood and images and colours and fonts and styling, and it has to be pitched to them for it to fly off the shelf, metaphorically fly off the shelf. Secondly, it's a good mindset to get in that you're not paying for it. You might initially pay the designer or the creative or whoever's doing it. You might actually be footing the bill, but it's all about whether your customers like it, because they're going to kind of be paying for it in principle as a downstream thing where it's kind of, you know, you need to get your money back when you pay it. When you invest in it, you need to get a return on what's going on. So it's a good way of thinking that it's the customer that's going to be paying for all this long term, drip by drip. And the third distinction I'd like to make is this sounds like, this is a big twist in the tail, it sounds like a big contradiction or like a big U-turn, and it's contradicting 1 and 2, but as an SME business owner, even though you are focusing on what the customer wants and designing and creating things that appeal to them and float their boat rather than yours, distinction number 3 is you still have to really love that design. And it isn't a contradiction, because what it is it might not be the squirrel with a cravat. It might not be the thing that the preconceived idea of what you like and what you want and what you'd normally have. It might be completely different, because a good designer will show you different ways and different things. And the reason why you still have to love what's been done for you is you are investing in that. You've got to emotionally invest in that. You've got to be behind whatever you've had designed for you. You've got to really love it, because if your heart's not in it and you kind of hate it and you think, God, I wish that wasn't my design for my logo, or my design for my company or my products or whatever, if you don't love it and like it at the same time, even if it might not be how you would kind of normally have things, and it might be your not immediate general instinctive thing that you'd want, you've still got to love it, because if you don't, your heart's not going to be in it, your passion's not going to be in it. You've got to be behind the creative that's been done for you. You've got to love it, so you've got to absolutely love it, but just don't let your own preconceived ideas drive and be the total dominant force, because that shouldn't be it. It should be there, but don't let it rule the whole process. So next time you're in a supermarket, pick up a can of beans and have it in your office, place it on your desk, and whenever you're kind of doing anything creative and visual, and either doing it in-house yourself or whether you're doing it through a designer or somebody doing something like that, a creative person, a creative service, whenever you're doing something, always look at that tin of beans and say, is this actually appealing to my market? Is this speaking their language, or is it just something that I want and I think, or is it actually really what they think and what they want and what floats their boat, not my boat? So always look at that tin of beans and think that, and always remember that they are ultimately paying for it, and they are the customer, not you. They are, and they are the target market. I mean, you might be the target market, but ultimately you've got to just focus on that. And remember, you still, beyond all that, you've still got to love what's going on and what's been done for you. It's a complicated balancing act, but if you've got the right attitude, the right mindset, and the right designer who can draw all those things out and make it all work, then you should have things literally like flying off the shelf, and hopefully that's of some use. I'm sure there's lots of people with a lot of opinions, might be disagreeing and have different experience of how things go, but you know, I had done a lot of years as a designer in general, like, you know, all round. I mean, just in that bit with the can and the retail, I've done a lot of retail, and I know how these things kind of work. So if you've got any questions, if you want to put it in any comments, I'd love to hear. And like I say, you may disagree. You may think I'm talking a lot of nonsense, and you know, I respect that if that's what you think. But anyway, so I'd just like to say, see you next time. Have a great day and be kind.